therefore, now you look at what this 13th chapter is talking about, in the 14th through the 17th verse is talking about. He's saying, in spite of that, of the fact of my present condition. So what is his present condition? At this point, we're chapter 13. So what is his present condition? What happened to him? We know what happened, Bible scholars. So what's one thing that happened to him?
He lost all his livestock, his children.
His livestock. He lost his children, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. And he is sick. His body is broken out with sores.
Yeah. So his health. He lost his health. He lost his children. What I'm trying to get you to see is that something happened between that first chapter and now this 13th chapter, in that time period and this time period. So in spite of the fact that he was using his might to acknowledge the Lord, his present conditions or his current realities in his life, what he is doing here is choosing to speak contrary to those facts. The current conditions suggest that he would be complaining and whining about all the stuff that's going wrong in his life. Did he get somebody in his vineyard, in his community, in his social circle? Did people who know him, did any of those people encourage him to complain and whine against the Lord? Between chapter 1 and chapter 13, did anybody encourage him that there was a friend or a relative or a family member? Did anybody encourage him to complain about his circumstances to the Lord?
His wife and his friends.
His wife, exactly, and his friend. His friend said, what? You must have did something wrong for all this stuff to be happening in your life. His wife said, curse God and die. Sounds like she was in pain herself, doesn't it? And you can expect she had all those children. So you can see in this situation how people's might, they had varying degrees of power and strength remaining to even acknowledge the Lord because of all that went on. And why did this happen? The thief was stealing, killing, and destroying, wasn't he? Was there any reference to the thief killing, stealing, and destroying? Was there any reference that you read in this book of Job between the first chapter when all these things happened and the 13th chapter? Was there any reference to saying it was Satan that caused his children to die? It was Satan that caused his servants, his employees to be killed. It was Satan that caused his cattle and all of his things that produced revenue, to produce riches for him, his assets, resources that produce money for him, caused them to be taken from him, stolen from him. Was there anything written to say it was Satan? See, because they didn't look at it as such. The people didn't look at it as such. They complained and whined, but they complained and whined about the fact that it was him. And so he was dealing with all of this, and yet in dealing with all of this, he still chose in this scripture, he chose to speak contrary to the facts that he was being faced with. Because those things were facts. All those bad things happened. Those realities were current in his life. But he still said, in spite of all those things, though he slay me, though he allow me to be slayed, yet will I trust in him. See, that's the powerful point. He decided to still trust in spite of the realities that he was being dealt. He decided to still acknowledge that the Lord is God and that he is present in spite of the difficulty that he was facing in his life. We're not going to go there today, but you can read it in Job 42. The Bible declares unto us, for him trusting in the Lord, for him acknowledging God in this way, the Bible said that the Lord gave Job double for his trouble. Double for using his might. He used his might and his energy. Though it may have been low, he used his might and his energy or his strength to express his present condition, that he trusted the Lord, contrary to the fact that his current realities that he was facing. And I want you to remember that. He chose to express that he trusted in the Lord, contrary to the current realities that he was facing, to the current problems and pain that he was going through as a result of the loss that he had. That's what it means to be operating from renewed strength, renewed might, for a purpose. Because he knew that the Lord is the one that provided for him. He knew that it was God that brought him to this point. And he had no reason to believe that that same Lord could not change his circumstance. That's why he said, though he slay me, I'm still going to trust him because he's the one that gave me life. And it is that confession, it is that level of reality is that we have to learn to live in that manner as well, in that moment as well. And the Bible said, for that trouble, the Lord blessed him with double in the end. In Romans 4, let me have a reader at the 17th verse.
As it is written, I have made thee a father of many nations before him whom he believed, even God who quicketh the dead and calleth those things which be not as though they were. Who against hope believed in hope, that he might become the father of many nations, according to that which was spoken, so shall thy seed be.
This is Paul talking about Abraham. He's talking about the fact that Abraham was called father first. Then he became the father of many nations. But he was called father first. But he was called father when he had no offspring. But Abraham dared to trust God, to do what only God could do. Only God could cause him to be that father of many nations. So with the word, Abraham knew that the Lord could make something out of nothing. And although things could have looked hopeless during his day, at times, Abraham still chose, he decided to live not on the basis of what he saw he couldn't do, but he decided to live on the basis of what he believed God would do, of what God said he would do. And that's the key. Because it is God that gives life unto that which looks like it's dead. It's God that calls into being that which does not exist. God is the one that can change the circumstance of something in the blink of an eye. So the key thing is for us to recognize is that we serve a God who is present, who is the one that gives us this renewed strength each day. Think about how you feel about some of your days. Some days you might go through your day, whether it's at school or at work, and you finish, it may be more challenging than other days. And then you lay your head down and you rest, and you wake up the next day with God's grace to wake up the next day, because some don't wake up. But when you're given God's grace to wake up the next day, how that you have some additional clarity, and next thing you know, you go forth the next day to school, you go forth the next day to work, you go forth the next day living your life, and next thing you know, a week has passed, a month has passed, a year has passed, and you're still moving closer toward what you're trying to achieve. But at that moment, it looked like the circumstance looked like you weren't going to make it. Understand that's God working behind the scenes, lining up the right breaks and opportunities for us even when we don't know what we need to have happen, God is present. In those moments, God is looking for people who will decide in those moments when they are weak, they are low, they are faint, they're feeling faint. Because everybody will feel faint. Everybody will feel like they're about to fall at some point in time in their life journey. But the Bible says it is the Lord that can renew our strength. It's the Lord that, and He physically renews our energy. Our energy so that we can at least acknowledge that He is the one that will get us out of the situation. He is the one that will change things. But we have to be able to do that and believe that contrary to the reality that we might be facing. And this is where God's people get challenged. Because sometimes they can believe in the reality of what they're facing more than they trust in God. The Lord is looking for a people who will choose to decide, regardless of the situation, I am going to still trust the Lord. He's looking for people who trust Him, not necessarily that people they know every scripture from the beginning of the word to the end. He's looking for people who simply would trust that He can do that which nobody else can do, who would hope toward Him. So anyhow, someone start reading in St. Matthew 9 at the 19th verse, please.
And Jesus arose and followed Him, and so did His disciples. And behold, a woman which was diseased with an issue of blood 12 years came behind Him and touched the hem of His garment, for she said within herself, If I may but touch His garment, I shall be whole. But Jesus turned him about, and when He saw her, He said, Daughter, be of good comfort, thy faith hath made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that hour.
Here, the Bible, we've read this story before about the woman who had an issue of blood, but I want to enlighten you today, is that this woman made some decisions. And the decisions that she made, it changed her life. She got healed. That's what the Bible told us. That's what the word just told us. She got healed. Jesus told her what healed you was what? Your faith. Your trust. Your hope is what healed you. Your hope in who? God. Your hope in God through me. You came to me believing that you could be changed, that your life circumstance could be changed. Although what was her current reality? What was her reality? The Bible told you what her reality was. What was her reality? What was the fact that was in her life?
She had an issue of blood.
She had a health problem, didn't she? Mm-hmm. That had to do with her blood. But here this woman used her might for this renewed purpose of being healed. Because that was her goal, wasn't it? That was her purpose, wasn't it? She wanted to be healed, didn't she?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, that was her purpose. What was different? Because that wasn't the first time that she wanted to be healed. What was different about it? That's what we got to focus in on. What was different about this time versus the past time? She still had the purpose of wanting to be healed, but there was something different about this time versus the last time. So let's look at this woman, how she used her might, her energy. She used her energy this time to do what? What did she do? What the Bible said she did. How did she use her energy this time?
She went and found out where he was, and
she went and found out where he was, and then what did it say she did? The Bible said in the 20th verse, said she did what?
Touched him.
Before she touched him, she what? Specifically, she came up behind him. If you don't come up behind him, you can't touch him. You can't touch him if you can't come up behind him. So that meant that you had to have a plan to do what?
Be where he was.
To be where he was, you had to use, what does it require for you to do stuff? What we learned earlier?
Energy.
She had to use her energy in a new way in order for her to be able to do what? Get to Jesus. She had to use her power. that new day came up, and she woke up that morning, and she said, you know what, if he's going to be in this area, I'm going to direct my energy. I'm going to direct, she didn't say I'm going to use my plan. I'm going to lay out my tasks for the day, my activities for the day. Because that's what people are doing when you say, this is my plan for the day. You're saying this is how I'm going to use my energy. That's basically what you're saying. That's what we all say. When we say, I'm going to do these 5 things today, you're saying that's how I'm going to direct my energy. Well, this woman chose to direct her energy in a way that showed that she trusted in who?
In Jesus.
When she was trying to track Jesus down to be healed, were people telling her, you need to go get healed by this person? She chose, because she heard what could happen, she chose to direct her energy in a way and her day in a way that demonstrated that she trusted in what Jesus represented. Her power. So she directed her power. She directed her strength. And she used all of her strength that she had in order to be able to do it. You'll see this better when you look at how she dealt with this problem in the past. Go over to St. Mark, the 5th chapter. St. Mark 5:25 is what I want.
And a certain woman, which had an issue of blood 12 years, and had suffered many things of many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was nothing better, but rather grew worse. When she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind and touched his garment.
Okay, let's stop right there for a moment. What do we learn about how this woman used her might originally? How did she use her might? And we learned that might means what?
Power to do something.
Power to do something. And what's the third definition of might?
Energy.
Energy. And the fourth definition of might?
Used to express a presence.
Condition.
Used to express its presence. Go ahead. Condition contrary to fact.
Yes. So what you use is the energy you use to express your present condition contrary to the fact. Is what you say about what you say is possible. Contrary to the fact. So it's how you use your power, your energy, your strength to express your present condition contrary to the fact. The fact is what your current condition is, but you're expressing your current condition contrary to that fact. So this woman expressed her current condition in a way that said that she had a problem and her purpose was to be healed, but who did she show trust in? Who did she direct? Who did she direct her might toward originally? Physicians. That means that she had to use her energy to get to the physician's offices, didn't it? And how long did she do this?
12 years.
12 years. She was directing her energy, her might, all her might toward those physicians 12 years. Because who did she have hope that would be able to deliver her?
The doctor.
The physicians, the doctor. But it left her with a new reality. What was the new reality what she left with?
She wasn't healed.
She wasn't healed. It was the same thing that she started with, right? But the Bible said, what happened? Did it get better or did it get worse? It got worse. So her condition got worse. Time went by. Can she get the 12 years back? No. So this is her new reality. Her situation got worse. She can't get the time back. And she's broke. She ran out of money. Which means she can't continue even if she wanted to continue to go to them, she can't continue to go to them anymore, can she?
No.
That's what I want you to see. She directed all of her might with her hope that she was going to get healed by them. That's what she directed her might. That's what she directed her strength, her energy. And so now, after all that time, and still her situation being worse, is her might low? Is her energy low? Is her power low?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so who then comes along? She learns about Jesus. Continue reading.
For she said, if I may touch his clothes, I shall be whole.
So now,
And straight.
look at what's happened. Does it sound like she has some new energy? Does it sound like she may have went to sleep? Did she found out that he was coming near in the nearby area? And does it sound like she has some new energy?
Yes.
How do we know she has some new energy? The same way that we have new energy. Didn't you have some energy today and you decided that you were going to do certain things today? And you directed your time toward those things, which means that you directed your energy to participate in those things, did you not? So this woman used the new energy that God gave her on this day, and she decided to put on her to-do list was to try to do what? What was her goal, a purpose for the day?
To touch his clothes.
To touch his clothes. Just like you put on your to-do list, my to-do list today is for me to do this. She said on her to-do list is to touch Jesus' clothes. So she knew in order to do that, she couldn't stay where she was. She had to use her energy to do what? To move her from where she was to where he was going to what? Be. That's how she had to. So she's using her renewed strength. God gave her strength for that day, but she directed it in a way that shows to God that she trusts. She's now trusting who? God's representative.
Jesus.
Before, she was showing she trusted the doctors. She didn't get any results. It got worse. Now, she's using her energy, her renewed strength. She's using her might that she has available in her today to try to touch him.
Oh, praise be to God, from whom all blessings flow. It is our prayer at Clay Family Ministries that your life has been increased with the increase of God through this study. We appreciate and are thankful for your fellowship during this life skills study segment.